Hey guys, back with another video. This time I'm in the AirfoilLabs C172 SP. This is the X-Plane 11 version 1.0. I just purchased this plane and I just wanted to talk a little bit about it from the perspective of VR flying, an Oculus Rift using FlyInside. So, I mean, there's plenty of videos on this from a 2D flight sim perspective. I'm talking about this specifically from a VR flying perspective. Okay, so first, the plane itself. The operation of it is fantastic. Compared to the stock 172, you can certainly feel realism, real world realism when you fly it. I'm not a pilot, but I spent a lot of time flying the stock 172, and I can definitely feel the difference here. There's less margin for error. Now, I even have it on the easier settings, and it's still less margin for error. And what's nice is it gives you the ability to move up the scale to make it more difficult. So from a flying perspective, you know, the initial startup and all that stuff, it's really, really amazing. So I'm not going to really cover that stuff because there's plenty of videos on that. Let's talk about the visuals inside the cabin, right? So that, because honestly, that's what we're interested in VR as opposed to 2D. So all of the instrumentation, all the dials are recessed back as if they were in 3D, okay? So it looks like it's a dial with some space between the dial itself and the glass in front of it. However, all of the needles are all the same perspective as the numbering. So there's no separation of the needle in the dial and the numbering. So for example, in the airspeed indication right here, the outer edge, the bevel of the instrument is certainly extended out from the actual face of the dial. The needle itself is flush with the dial. There's a difference between this and the stock. The stock plane 172, it's got separation. It actually looks like a real world instrument. I'm trying to describe this as best I can, and all the instrumentation is the same way. Now, to me, that's like a nitpicky thing. It would be nice if it was all 3D, but you know, as long as the dials are recessed, I can live with that, okay? All of the knobs and switches and throttles and all that stuff are all three-dimensional. The yoke itself, three-dimensional, okay? So that's all good to go. Everything else is good except the actual needles on the dials themselves. In VR, the frame rates, now I'm in Key West. There's no custom scenery here or anything like that, so I'll just show you the frame rates here. So we're getting 30 frames per second in X-Plane 11, and 91, 92 in the headset, which is what you want, okay? It would be nice if it was a little higher in X-Plane 11, but the movement is smooth enough where it's comfortable. I will tell you that I tested this plane in I bought the New York scenery, the payware scenery, and in that area, taking off from Newark, the frame rates in X-Plane were down to the low 20s, okay? And in fact, as I was flying around and came back to land at Newark, started to get some really, really bad stuttering. Now, so there I'm mixing custom scenery, which has a lot of objects and stuff. And if you guys want to know my settings, you can check my settings video so you can see how I have things set up. So there's a lot of, you know, defined objects, but also this plane itself, you know, there's a lot more structure to it. There's a lot more rendering to it, so it's going to take more frames. So I would say that for my use in VR, this plane will operate fine in areas where you don't have like custom scenery and stuff. But if you do, you're going to see your frame rate suffer. So that's just one thing to consider. Anyway, aside from that, like I said, the operation's amazing. I mean, the bug with the sound is kind of bothering. You have to set your sound kind of funky to get the sound to work with this plane, but once you do that, the sounds are incredible. Three-dimensional sounds really adds to the immersion. You can hear like the engine kind of sputtering and stuff when you rev it up to higher RPM, so that's pretty cool. You can see what I like too about the RPM dial. It's got an hour indication, so you can see that I've flown like 2 hours, which is pretty cool. It's cool that you keep track of that. I think it would be nicer if it had a 530 GPS in it than the 430, but I guess they probably couldn't fit it in the avionics stack there. I'm not sure. The only problem I have with the avionics is the autopilot. Now, What happens is when I engage the autopilot, the yokes shift and it just turns right off. Now I read, or I was asking someone online, John Fly, who's got a YouTube channel, and he had said, make sure you recalibrate your yoke, which I did, and make sure your trim is set and there's no movement in the yoke, because once you move the yoke, it turns the autopilot off. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take off, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to trim it out, get everything smooth, and when I try to turn the autopilot on, I'm going to show you what happens. Now, maybe it's just in my system, I'm using the CH Products yoke. Maybe that's the cause of it. I'm not sure, but it's kind of a funky thing. So anyway, let's taxi here. Now, I mean, the sounds are cool, but they do still need to work on things like if you go outside and then you go back in, you get that weird whoosh sound. So that's something that's got to be fixed. But I'm sure they're going to get to that. In fact, I was reading on their on one of their forums that they're working on the sound issues. So yeah, I'm not sure where the windsock is here. Oh yeah, good. I'm taking off towards the east. Now the compass up there is three-dimensional. The ball inside the compass, it looks like it's actually floating in liquid, which is in fluid, which is good. So that's kind of cool. But overall, what's really nice about this plane, and again, there's a ton of videos on it, is the real world, the realism, and the ability to control it, the realism. Like the failures, you can set it up so that, if you don't warm the engine up properly, or you over rev the engine, you can blow it, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool to be able to set things up as if it's real world. So for me, a guy like me who's new, you want to start easy, work to medium, and then work to hard, so that you're actually experiencing real world. Even from startup, like I start, from now I'm just doing like engine startup when I load the plane up, but to learn the proper procedure to prime the engine with a fuel pump and all that is pretty cool to do. So anyway, there's tons of videos on that. I'm more focused on the VR stuff. So anyway, let's take off, and I want to show you this glitch that I've got with the autopilot. Kind of drifting there. That was weird. That's a weird takeoff there. I was only at like 40 knots, I guess. Oh, I had the flaps up. Damn it. All right, sorry. See, I'm such a noob. All right, so that's why. At least there's an explanation to my failure there. But the stall horn started to crank there. All right, so what I want to do is let me get up to like 1,000, okay? And I'm going to turn around here. I also wish you could turn off the windshield glare. I tried to do that, and for some reason it won't let me turn that off. It does have a setting for glass effect, but I'm not able to turn that off. It's kind of annoying, even though it is kind of real world. It's just kind of annoying. So, all right. So let's. Let me get things set here. So now I'm going to get like level flight, okay? Set my bug. Okay, so level flight. Now I'm going high, I'm going up here, so I'm going to trim it out. Okay, I mean, yoke is stable, although this looks like it's kind of moving a little bit. I'm trying to get it to the point where it's not moving. Alright, so what I want to do now is I want to hit the autopilot heading. Watch how the yokes move when I do this. See how the yokes kind of move like that? Like they jerk. See that? And then the autopilot doesn't stay on. So, I mean, I'm not touching the yoke. I don't have my hands on it. And I can't turn the autopilot on. I can't turn any stuff on there. So, anyway, I'm not sure. Hopefully, you know, maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. But maybe there's something with the CH Products yoke that is causing issues. I'm not sure. But that's a problem that I have. Anyway, aside from that, it's fantastic in VR. The visuals are very good. The definition of the instrument panel is very good. It's very nice. I mean, I'm moving my head freely. I'm not getting any judder or any black around the edges. I'll just show you my frame rates here. So I'm getting 31 in X-Plane and 94 in the headset, which is fine, right? Absolutely fine. So, yeah, I'm very impressed with this plane from a VR perspective. Aside from getting the autopilot thing straightened out, I'm really excited about spending more time, more hours in this plane, and you know, becoming more of a real-world flyer in VR as we go forward. So I hope this was helpful to those who are flying in VR. And if you have any questions or comments or any ideas about the autopilot, you know, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to hear what you have to say, guys. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.